Farm Girl. Today I am back for the second segment of Artisan Bread in 5 minutes a day. In yesterday's 5-minute segment, I mixed the dough and I put it in this container. And I don't know if I mentioned, but when you put your lid on your container for it to rise, it needs to not be airtight. You don't want anything exploding. Do not use ball jars or anything that has a screw-on type lid. The other thing I don't know if I did right, the instructions say to let it rise for anywhere from 2 to 5 hours, which I did read. The second part of the instruction says until it starts to deflate or get flat on the top, and I didn't read that part until this morning, so I may have put it in the refrigerator a little too early. When I got it last night, it was up to about the 4-quart line, and then it went down to about here. But we'll see what happens. So now what I'm going to do today is we're going to shape the loaf and put it, I'm going to use this cutting board. The recipe calls for a pizza peel, which is one of those wooden flat spatula things with a long handle, because we are going to be putting it into a hot oven onto a preheated pizza stone or bread stone. You want to cover your cookie sheet that doesn't have sides, or your pizza peel, or in my case this cutting board, with cornmeal. That's to make it easy for it to come off when it's time to slide it onto the baking sheet. Now, according to the directions, I'm going to grab about a 1 pound, it says piece of dough, grapefruit sized, so I'm guessing about that size, and cut it with a serrated kitchen knife. And I need to put flour on my hands. We'll try this. Since I don't have a kitchen scale to measure with, I'll do this. So now it says, gently stretch the surface of the dough. So it says to just pull it like this, and that it should take about 30 to 60 seconds to shape it. And then it says to make it into a shaped ball, pinching the bottom together, and allow it to rest on the pizza peel, or in my case the cutting board, for 40 minutes. However, I'm going to set the timer for 20 minutes because you want to start preheating the oven 20 minutes prior to putting the dough, the bread. So that's all we do for now, and we'll come back and check in with it in about 20 minutes. Okay, so the bread's been resting for about 20 minutes, and I took that time to get the oven ready. It's not on yet, don't worry, I'm not going to burn myself. On the bottom rack, I've placed a broiler pan. We're going to pour hot tap water into this because this kind of bread requires steam. On the middle rack, I've placed our baking stone, and I've also hung a oven thermometer. It's very important that your oven be at the right temperature. I know mine cooks about 15 degrees. It's off by about 15 degrees, so I'm going to be paying attention to this. So now that I've got the oven ready, I am going to preheat it to 450 degrees, making my adjustment for my particular oven's temperature. And I'm going to set the timer for an additional 20 minutes. And we'll check back in with you in a little bit. Okay, we are back and just about ready to put our bread into the preheated oven. At this point, I'm going to dust the top of the loaf liberally with flour, and we're going to slash it. That prevents it from sticking to the knife. There's a few different patterns in the book. I'm going to try what they call a scalloped pattern. And then we're going to put the bread into our preheated oven. First, I'm going to do that first and then add the hot tap water to the broiler pan. I'm going to grab a spatula to help me get the bread onto the stone. Voila! All right, and now we'll put that in the oven. And the book says that not to worry if we didn't see much rising of the bread out here, that it'll rise more in the oven. It also says that your oven will not be quite preheated yet, and that's okay. Once I get the water in here, I'm going to shut the door as quickly as possible so that we don't lose steam. Being careful not to spill the hot water on myself. Okay, here we go. Our finished loaf of bread. It sure did rise nicely, and it is beautiful. We're going to let it cool, and then we'll give it a taste in a little while. Thanks for watching. I'm Not a Farm Girl. Be sure to like, subscribe, favorite, and comment. Yep.
Boy, howdy.